Safer Chemicals Podcast. Sound science on harmful chemicals.
Welcome to the Safer Chemicals Podcast. In today's episode, we focus on biocides, and we'll go through the most important outcomes of the November meeting of our Biocidal Products Committee. If you're not yet familiar with the committee and its work, here's a quick recap. It prepares scientific opinions for the European Commission on biocidal active substances and on EU-wide authorizations of biocidal products. The Commission takes the final decisions based on the opinions they receive from the Biocidal Products Committee. My name is Päivi Jokiniemi, and my guest today is the committee chair, Joost van Galen. Welcome, Joost, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Very nice to be here again.
So, let's get going. I think we'd start this time with active substance applications, right?
I think that's correct indeed.
Yes, so this time there was only one active substance application on your agenda. It was for Bronopol, for uses in product types 2, 11 and 12. So for example, in disinfectants, preservatives and slimicides. Could you tell us a little bit more about this case?
Yes, it was quite a complex case, I would say. Already prior to the meeting, during the working group meetings, we became aware that there are data gaps for mutagenicity and for endocrine disrupting properties for non-target organisms. So it was a bit already challenging to begin with. We had very long and constructive discussions during the BPC meeting. We took it really till the end of the evening, I can tell you. However, in the end, the BPC members were not able to agree on the opinion. And so that was the end of that. At the end of the day, we did not have an opinion to present.
So in this meeting, no conclusion. What happens now?
Actually, we are at this very moment revising the opinion, trying to make it ready for next round of discussions with the member state. And we're going to have an additional virtual meeting on the 12th of December with the aim to adopt the opinion during that meeting.
So this meeting is only for this one case. It's not something that you would have had otherwise.
No, we've never done this before, actually. But I think it's good that we try to finalize this opinion rather soon. Mm-hmm. At the moment, the members are all completely aware of the situation with regards to this opinion, are fully in the discussion. So it's very efficient to actually try to adopt this opinion as soon as possible after this meeting.
Then we are looking forward to the 12th of December and knowing more about this particular case.
Let's indeed hope so.
Well, in that case, we will leave the active substance applications and we'll go directly to the union authorization cases. This time you had 3 applications to go through. What happened with them?
Well, actually, there were 2 very easy cases, I would almost say. There were not that many comments from the member states, and we adopted these opinions by consensus. So that was a great success. The third one was a bit more difficult, because also for this application, there were data gaps. There was a data gap on corrosiveness to metal, and there was a data gap on shelf life studies. The applicant managed to provide data on the corrosiveness to metals within the 10 working days after the working groups. So those data could be taken into consideration in the discussions at the BPC. However, they were not able to do that for the shelf life studies, and therefore the authorization was restricted in the opinion.
Okay, but in general, all these 3 you recommend to authorize?
Indeed, also for this third one, the opinion recommends authorization to the Commission.
Okay, good. Now you've mentioned both with the active substance applications and also now with the union authorizations, you've mentioned data gaps. It seems that lately there has maybe been some kind of increase in an amount of non-approvals or recommendations for non-approvals due to specifically data gaps. Is this something that is a correct interpretation?
We have indeed seen quite a large number of non-approvals or non-authorizations, or at least partial non-approvals and non-authorizations in the last few years. And this is a bit of a concern to us, because companies are investing quite large sums of money in their applications for approval or authorization. And it's a shame that that does not result in approval or authorization, especially because this is completely avoidable.
You say that it's avoidable. I'm thinking, can you clearly see that there are some common mistakes that companies could easily improve or change? Do you have some tips?
Well, in fact, it is in principle quite easy. There should be a full dossier.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we do realize that those dossiers are very elaborate, very large dossiers, large numbers of studies. So we do understand that sometimes something is overseen. We've lately seen quite a large number of dossiers that lack corrosiveness to metal studies, that lack shelf life studies. For both, guidance is available to tell the applicants what actually needs to be provided. So applicants should really take a very close look at that guidance. Second, it seems that some applicants think that they can continue providing information during the process. And in some steps of the process, that indeed is true. I mean, there is the possibility to provide additional data, but only on request of the authorities. In order to explain this, we have created a document for union authorization, explaining the process, explaining the points in the process where information can be provided. That document is available on the webpage of the BPC. It's called The Guiding Principles of Providing Data During Union Authorization Process. And it's actually aimed both at the authorities and at the applicants, because it also gives templates for the authorities to communicate the requirements very clearly to the applicant. So we would like to invite applicants and authorities to take note of this document and to apply it.
Yes, and of course, all the guidance documents, those are available also on our website. So if you go to the support section, you can find all the guidance documents there. Good to have these concrete advice and tips so that companies can really maybe check what they're doing, and if not sure what to do, have a look at the documents.
Indeed. And it's also good to know that we are currently in the process of preparing a similar document for active substances. And that document we hope to finalize somewhere early next year.
And that will then also be available on the Biocide Products Committee page.
Yes, for sure.
Very good. Then if we move on to a completely different topic, well, actually not that different, because again, we are talking about documents. And now there are some new procedural documents, specifically for active substance renewals, and another one for the linguistic procedure for union authorizations. These are something that you discussed also in this November meeting. Maybe you can tell a little bit how these two impact the committee and also applicants.
Yes, I can. We are continuously trying to find new ways to improve our processes and to become more efficient. And therefore, we are seeking improvements of the documents, the procedural documents that we have in place. Of course, we try to not update these documents every few months. It's a bit of a fine line, right? I mean, you want to make sure that the documents are up to date. At the same time, you don't want to hit the applicants and the authorities with new procedural documents every few months. So it's a fine balance that we try to find. Hopefully, we do. There were indeed two documents. One was on the renewal of active substances. And recently, we got a new application for a renewal of an active substances an active substance, where a limited evaluation was performed. That was not part of the previous procedural document yet, so that has now been implemented. For union authorization, and especially the major changes of union authorization, there was no procedure in place yet for the linguistic review of the summary of product characteristics.
And now, of course, I have to interrupt you and ask, what does this actually mean?
Summary of product characteristics is a document that is accompanying each authorization of a biocidal product. The document contains administrative information, such as the name of the product, the authorization holder, etc. But it also contains information on the classification and labeling and on the use of these products. So it's a very useful document that should be implemented on the label of the products.
And what does the linguistic procedure then mean?
We agree on the English version of such SPC.
Okay.
But of course, in the various member states, the products need to be labeled in the national language. So this SPC is translated from English to all the languages that are being, all the official languages in the EU. That is being done by the applicant, and it is being checked by the authorities whether they agree on this translation of the English SPC.
Okay, well, that's clear. So how do you see then that these new documents affect the committee and the applicants?
Yes, we try to continuously improve our processes. So we believe that these new procedures actually will enable them to perform their jobs as efficiently as possible. And at the same time, by continuing to update these documents, we aim to be even more prepared for all the challenges that we may be facing in the future.
Thank you, Joost, for going through the highlights of the meeting with me. And also, I have to say, I'm very happy that we've been able to give some practical advice also to the listeners, to companies who have obligations under the Biocidal Products Regulation. Also, thanks all our listeners. I hope that those tips from Joost are helpful when you're preparing your applications. And as a final reminder, if you want to listen to more episodes of the Safer Chemicals podcast, you will find them on our website at echa.europa.eu/podcasts.